Hello everyone, in today's video we'll be assembling the Foxalien XE Pro. This is a 3-axis CNC router with a working area of 400 by 400 millimeters. Key features include integrated closed loop stepper motors for increased accuracy and faster speeds, ball screws for reduced backlash, wheeled carriages on the X and Y axes with offset nuts to adjust wheel tension, and linear rails on the Z or Z axis. The X and Y axes can be upgraded to linear rails with an optional kit. The machine was supplied in one large box containing all of the parts, including the two Y-axis sides, the Z-axis gantry, the Z-axis, a 400 watt DC spindle motor with an ER11 collet, additional spindle holders for installing a more powerful trim router or VFD type spindle motor, the base frame which is constructed from custom aluminium extrusion, an MDF table bed with threaded inserts, clamps for work holding, the control box which includes a touchscreen for operating the machine without an attached PC, cables and drag chains to connect the control box to the machine, a hardware kit, tools, a height probe, and the software is supplied on a micro SD card with a USB card reader. Moving on to the assembly, first we'll check that the work surface is level. Then it's a good idea to test the stepper motors and check that the axes move in the correct directions. There's a link to the G-code file in the comments. Thread locker is an adhesive that can be applied to threads to prevent them from loosening due to vibration. I recommend applying the blue normal strength thread locker after the initial assembly once the machine is aligned and operational. To start, we're going to assemble the base frame using M5 30mm bolts, flat washers and spring washers. The two Y-axis sides are then installed onto the base frame. And secured with M5 20mm bolts. Next, the MDF table bed is placed on the frame. The mounting holes are aligned. And it's attached with M5 25mm bolts. The two dust baffles are installed with M5 12mm bolts. The next step is to align the rollers on either side of the base. The easiest way that I've found is to use a spacer, in this case a speed square, to adjust the distance between the rear of the roller assemblies and the limit switch blocks, adjusting the distance with the front knobs. Now that the two sides are aligned, we can mount the X-axis gantry. And secure it with M5 12mm bolts. The Z-axis assembly is attached using M5 12mm bolts. Then the 52mm spindle holder is installed with M5 55mm bolts, leaving the two right hand bolts loose. The spindle motor is inserted into the holder and the bolts tightened. Next, the drag chain brackets are installed using M5 6mm bolts. Then the drag chain can be fixed in position using M4 6mm screws. Moving on to the wiring, we start by connecting the Y-axis limit switch, followed by the X-axis stepper motor, the two Y-axis stepper motors, Z-axis stepper motor, X-axis limit switch, Z-axis limit switch, and the spindle motor, paying attention to the wire polarity. Next, it's important to check that the AC supply voltage is correctly set. The switch can be found on the base of the control box. Now we can connect the cables to the control box. Now let's power up the machine. First we'll insert the micro SD card into the card reader slot. Make sure that the emergency stop switch is disabled and switch on the standalone controller. Note that it's not possible to connect a PC when the standalone controller is switched on. We can home the machine from the control menu. Homing uses limit switches to find the home position or 0 point for the machine axes. To jog the machine, select Move, then select the step size, and now we can jog the axes. I'm going to jog towards the centre of the table bed. We can test the spindle. The knob on the front panel sets its speed, but you would normally leave this at maximum. Now let's try out one of the G-code files included on the micro SD card. To start, I'm going to clamp a piece of MDF to the table. Insert one of the V-bits supplied with the machine into the ER11 collet and gently tighten it with the two spanners. The height probe is used to zero the Z-axis to the surface of the material. First measure the touch plate's height, then select the Set Probe menu and change the value if required. The touch plate is positioned under the V-bit and the croc clip is attached to it. A good electrical connection is essential for the probe to work. Then select Z-probe to zero the Z-axis to the surface of the MDF. Now let's jog to the position where we want to start the job. Select the Zero XYZ menu, then Set X and Set Y to zero the X and Y axes. Now we can select Files to view the microSD card file directory. Select the 4040XE Pro folder, Test Code, and now we can scroll through the pages of files. I'm going to select smiley.nc and run it by selecting the send key.